Hey, 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 we're back again.
I love
Happy
it because it starts off
Halloween.
so, yeah, right. I
Happy
love the way
Halloween.
it
We're in the
starts off,
spirit
right?
here. Well, welcome back to Sex Trafficking in the Queen City Part 2 with Unbreakable Faith Inc. I am Melissa Price, and this is on this
Hi,
side.
Michelle Dewitt.
So we're going to just tell you guys a little bit about ourselves before we get into the nitty gritty of things because there's a lot to unpack this week. Um,
Woo.
like I said, my name is Melissa Price. I am a married mother of two little girls, 10 and
Beautiful.
12 now, 10 and a half and 12. Can't keep up with it. Um, Entrepreneur, and also I have the privilege and honor and pleasure of being the marketing liaison for my sister over here, Michelle Dewitt, and Unbreakable Faith. So love, love, love doing what I do, and the biggest cause on my heart and in my soul is the major issue of sex trafficking for personal reasons and beyond. So I've got a lot of heart and a lot of stake in this topic, and I'm looking forward to unpacking it a little bit more with you guys this week. So that's me.
Awesome. Awesome. That's my girl, Melissa. So I am the executive director of Unbreakable Faith Incorporated. We are a nonprofit organization. We mentor youth and young adults that have been through trauma, which sexual abuse, molestation, rape, sex trafficking, all the icky stuff. Our organization operates in that area, and we do it not only for the females, the uniqueness of our organizations, that we do it for the males as well. I love working with my marketing person, Melissa. All the videos and all the stuff you see in the marketing virtual world, that's not my hands. That's not my calling. God did not call me to do that. So I am grateful to have her a part of the team. She is a joy to work with and a beautiful, beautiful heart. And she's so diligent. She reminds me of a little me in her zone. So I am so glad. I'm excited about today. Melissa and I, as we discussed part two, week two, on talking about this, and with so much happening in the atmosphere right now with Halloween and now the pookies, like you saw in the video that Melissa created, there's a lot more behind the scenes. And it's so unfortunate that our society, if you will, they're not as cautious, I would say, as
Yeah.
they should be.
Mhm.
Especially during this time, there's so much that's going on. So, Melissa, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Let's go ahead and hit this thing right on off.
Well, we'll just kind of touch a little bit over last week. Last week we came to you, and we call it sex trafficking in the Queen City for a reason. I want you to just don't get too hung up on it being just in the Queen City, because this is about
Right.
sex trafficking all over the world. But we wanted to call it that to let you know it's happening here. There's such a
Mm-hmm.
stigma that people think that it does not happen in your own backyard, and it literally
Yeah.
happens in your neighborhood, in your street,
Yeah.
down the
Yeah.
street. Like I've got it right up in my neighborhood. Like literally just had people, 2 years ago,
Mm.
were arrested and taken out, and not
Wow.
even 6 blocks up, there was a house, and they were trafficking kids there. It was insane.
Mm,
I'm
mm,
like,
mm,
oh my
mm.
God, like right there,
Right.
you know? So, I mean, I'm talking literally in your backyard. So we wanted to call it that to like raise awareness that it's happening here. As well as everywhere else. And so last week we kind of touched on the statistics of our local area, and what the real numbers are in North Carolina, and even for the city of Charlotte and the state of North Carolina, where we stand, what the numbers are, who's trafficked the most, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So this week we wanted to talk about the psychological side effects, after effects,
Mm-hmm.
aftermath
Mm-hmm.
for a
Yeah.
victim, and their caretakers as well, and therapists, because that's a lot for whoever's helping.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about the psychological aftermath, and we want to talk about who is a target, who's targeted, and what are the signs, like what do you look for if what are the signs of trafficking? What you should be kind of looking for if
Yeah.
you want to be part of, calling those hotlines and bringing in those tips. So that's what we're going to touch on this week. And before we do, I did want to, as we're finishing up about last week, I went digging through my stuff, and we were talking about you and I when you served with Present Age Ministries, and I was with On Eagle's Wings.
Yeah.
I went through my stuff, and I found my training journal with all my notes.
Oh,
And it was crazy. Remember last week I told you when we were talking about how the counselors need counselors,
yeah.
and the main psychologist that was sharing and training our class, and I was telling you it also has to do with like spiritual warfare, like your spirit
Yes.
counsel too from the Lord,
Mm,
not just the professional helping you process what you're taking in, but your
mm,
soul needs counsel as well. And I had written it
absolutely.
right up here and boxed it in, is what that lady said. Read up, pray up, you're on the front lines of Satan's war.
Wow.
And
Wow.
also, too, it says, wait, where's that other thing you just had mentioned? I'll find it. 1 second. Well, I should have sticky noted it. I had another interesting fact. Oh, it said something about who is the target as we're getting ready to go into that. They were talking about, okay, that it's not just women, right?
Yeah.
The notes I had put down is that there's a lot of men, and that there is a lot from the LGBTQ community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
said that it's more common than you think. There's a lot of societal bias to things. There's a lot of shame when it comes to men and the LGBTQ community when they are sexually abused. There's shame that comes with that. So a lot of them don't come out, and
No.
and there's
That
so
makes the numbers higher.
they stick in it.
Yep.
So it's even more damaging, I would say, to the men and those of the LGBTQ community that get it, because it's usually a lot more brutal when they are
Yeah.
trafficked. So
Right.
it was kind of crazy. I was looking through these notes this morning, and if this was in April of 2016, that many years ago, I'm like, oh my gosh. And so in it, I found a couple other cool things. One was a sticker from On Eagle's Wings Ministries, which says, one life at a time. That's how you combat human trafficking.
Yeah.
It's true. The safe house that I worked at, and I know a lot of the safe houses that exist out there, they only take so many people in
Yeah.
because they need such intense, round the clock, nonstop care. And it is like rebuilding from birth, but as an adult,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I also found this giant list of all of the organizations in Charlotte that
Wow.
advocate and work and do stuff around trafficking. Safe house. There, we've got Justice Ministries, Lily Pad Haven, Present Age, On Eagle's Wings, Redeeming Joy. Like the list goes on. So maybe we can add them to your website even for additional resources.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
then
Yeah.
the
Send me
last
that.
the last
Mhm.
thing I found was, I told you when I worked in the safe house, I was one of the few that got to take them off site to go
Yeah.
do actually, and I forgot to say it last time. The woman that I volunteered with, like you couldn't really take them by yourself off site. You always have
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
at least two volunteers.
Yeah.
And we took them hiking several times, and there was many stories on those hikes of things that went wrong, but we made it through it. And but after several of those times, there came a point where 4 of the 6 girls all wanted to go get baptized, and we got to drive them to the church close to the safe house, which I'm not going to mention where it's located, but it is local. And we got to watch all 4 girls. We went through I'm getting goosebumps and trying not to cry, but we got to watch them get baptized, and whatever. So I've got letters from some of these girls that I found pictures. You're not allowed to take pictures of them.
Right.
Their
Right.
face. But
Yeah.
the thing on Eagles Wings Ministries, whenever they do take pictures, is from the back, and they
Yep.
always have their arms up like an eagle. And so
Right.
this is one of the times I got to take some of the girls hiking.
Oh, look at that.
I'm not even going to say what mountain it is because I don't want to give away any
Right,
location.
right, right. Look at there. Oh.
Yeah, it was like, oh my God. And to just see some of these, like, I have so many, I'm trying not to cry right now. I have so many memories and prayers and stories that go with these pictures. And these
How long were
girls,
you at Eagles Wings?
some
How
of
long were
these,
you
some of
there?
these girls had never ever been allowed out. It was like their
Yeah.
first time. You can see I'm shaking here. I get so
Yeah.
emotional.
See.
Um,
Oh, where your
I was with
napkins
them for
at,
two.
Melissa?
I was with them for 2 years, and I had to stop because, well, one thing, it was taking a lot of time from me because I drove quite a distance to get there. Um, and my kids were really little at that time. I mean,
Okay.
2016, how
Okay.
many years ago is that? 7 years ago, and my kids are like, so they were like 3 and 4. Um, so and it was taking a lot of emotional stress, like it was taxing on me too. So I was, even though I was present at home with my kids, I was still trying to, I didn't have
Yeah.
the therapist that I needed to be doing this
Right,
stuff,
right,
you know.
right, right. Yeah.
And then conveniently, because I was praying on this with God, I was like, this, I don't want to stop the fight, but like, help me, give me the strength, this and that, make the
Mm,
path clear. And then, like, literally right after that, I had an accident in my living
mm,
room, and my driving foot was
mm.
was fractured, and I had to
Oh,
be removed.
wow.
I couldn't drive for like 3 months, and so I was like, well, ask and you shall receive. God's got a funny
Yeah.
way of putting you where he wants you. And so that was his way of taking the burden off my heart of making the choice. And I'm like,
Yeah.
but I'm a person, I always try to find the blessing even in the crappy.
Amen. That's right.
So
That's right. Yeah.
yeah, anyways, I mean, I just wanted to share some of those things. As we left our conversation last week, we did kind of challenge people to talk to 10 people,
Yeah.
see how many actually know what sex trafficking is, any statistics for your area, and just be shocked at how many don't
Yeah.
and aren't aware. And
Yeah.
so I talk about this obviously a lot, but it did get me to a point where I'm like, I want to go back through my notes and my journals.
Yeah.
I want to see the pictures again and read the things I was writing. And I created the Facebook page for it at that time, which is still out there. And it just, so I really kind of went and marinated through everything we talked about last week. I did my homework. It wasn't talking
Okay.
about it, but I'm here talking to all of you about it now with all of my materials from then. And
Yeah.
for
It's
today.
so important, Melissa. It's so important. I mean, like, really working with present age ministries is so it's critical that you get to know the other side. Everybody wants to be on the happy side, the joyful side of let's go play basketball, let's go play soccer, and let's go help and volunteer over here at this game or over here at this dance event. Well, our children need our help in volunteering with the ones who are fractured, the ones who are damaged. We need to be able to be the ones that step forward and say, you know what, I can help them. It's not, oh, well, this is too much for me. Well, it's too much to go out the door when you go into the games nowadays. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on there. We make excuses for what we don't want to do,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
working with
yeah.
present age ministries, I seen these young girls fragile and broken, and they didn't trust anyone,
Yeah.
not anyone. And like you said, you always had to go out by twos. And when it was time for me to take my individual mentee out, I always had a great time. I never had a bad experience with any of my girls. I always loved them. We would act silly. It just made the girl in them feel so refreshed. The girl in them felt like the girl should feel. They
You never
shouldn't
had
have
any
had
bad
to put on.
experiences?
No, I
Really?
didn't.
I had
No, I never had any bad experience. I guess
I
because
had
I was
some rough
trained.
ones.
I was trained, and I was like, well, when I say bad, like they never cursed me out or told me they hate
Just
me or
rough.
anything
I
like
mean,
that.
rough ones,
Yeah.
not bad where like they were
No, no,
rude,
no, 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 no.
obnoxious, or
No. Now I
aggressive,
had
and
one that was just defiant.
heavy,
She
heavy,
was just
bad, heavy, like,
no, no.
you know?
There was one was just defiant. She was defiant all the way around, and then she would
Yeah,
call me and tell
we
me
have
she's
those.
sorry later, right? She would say, "I'm Miss Michelle. I just called to let you know I'm so sorry. I know you told me not to do it, and I did it anyway." And da 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 da. I'm just like, okay. So what time do you want me to come and pick you up? Okay, just tell me
Yeah,
what time you need me to come pick you up. Can you come now? I need you to come now. I'm like, you know what? I guess I'm on my way. And that's how I was with my girls and
yeah,
parents. We got along well, caregivers and I, because I've been there and I know that feeling of wanting the attention. I know what it was like to feel hurt. I felt, I knew what it was like not to want to be bothered and should I trust you? Should I not trust you? You don't understand me. You never will. All those things that go through our mind.
yep.
And that brings us to our psychological
Right,
point, right?
right. So Michelle already knows this, but I'll tell you guys. I did, like I said, my homework this week. I went through a lot of different sites. I went through Shared Hope International, Present Age Ministries was one, Polaris, the National Human
Yes.
Trafficking Hotline, was just kind of
Yeah.
reading what's up, updated, and going out there now and looking up specifically what are the psychological effects of trafficking.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
Obviously, I think most people who are watching and viewing or listening right now are going to be like, well, obviously there's going to be some anger, maybe some depression, but I want to share a lot of this stuff with you guys because it extends so much further than that.
Mm.
Even further than just with like even PTSD. A lot of
Right.
girls get
Mhm,
PTSD, but the societal impacts that it has, this the oh my gosh, the self-worth, the having relationships with people, having
mhm.
with somebody, the trust factors, it's insane. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time. I know it's going to be reading, but it'll only take like 3 minutes or so to share
Mhm.
some of these facts with you about and I'll stop after each paragraph and see like if you've got something to share, maybe something you went through or somebody or one of your experiences working with one of your survivors.
Yeah.
Kind of touch on each little point, but I've got 4 little paragraphs well, it's actually three
Okay.
paragraphs to go through. And then after that, we'll kind of give you guys some tips on what to look for, who's a target, and what to be looking for to catch these guys doing this stuff. And
Right.
all these traffickers, we'll just call them traffickers
Mhm.
because we already talked last week, and it's not just men, is it?
That's right.
It's women and it's other children too. It's crazy.
Yes.
So, all right, let's start out here. The psychological effects of sex trafficking. When trafficked for sexual exploitation, women are subjected to extraordinary physical, sexual, and psychological violence, which puts them acutely at risk for developing not just short term physical ailments, but also lasting mental illness that can profoundly alter their ability to navigate effectively in the social world.
Mm.
Survivors may be dealing with HIV infections, experience gynecological issues, succumb to substance and alcohol abuse, and suffer the prolonged effects of physical injuries because many of them are completely battered and beaten and tortured in the process of it's not just
Yeah.
sex when it comes to
Right.
stuff, it's sex and abuse,
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
the impacts on their mental health include anxiety, depression, self harm, and post traumatic stress disorder, which is PTSD. That's
Yeah.
the first point. And I will say, I will touch on that last little nugget there. Several of the girls that I worked with, and again, these were not women; these were minors from 12 to 17
Yeah.
years old. A lot of them were cutters, would cut
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of suicidal thoughts. There was just so much done to them that they felt disgusting and
Yeah.
scummy and filthy and couldn't ever feel like a way to live with themselves. And so,
Yeah.
it's just crazy to me and just it really does rip me up to think that these people have gone through all of this violation and torture and abuse to come out surviving and then battle suicidal thoughts and hurting
Yeah.
themselves,
Yeah.
so that's a really weighty, heavy thing to think about,
Yeah.
you know?
You already have to deal with, they already have to deal with having just life in itself
Mhm.
of wanting to be light. And now here come this big old hard rock. Um, Now they're dealing with why even live? Why even be bothered with it? A lot of times the girls that came in, they had on long shirts. I'll never forget. This girl had a hoodie on and she had her arms covered up, and I knew why. From the training, of course, you look at the signs, and she just refused to open up. In our group session, it was just not happening. She didn't want to be there. The second time, she didn't want to be there. That third time, she didn't show up at all. I just kept praying, like you say, you bring them home and you start praying, asking God for strength for these girls. Um, when she finally did come back, you could see all the cuts, Melissa, on her arm.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And it's a lot to carry when you work with these people, these survivors. We had a couple girls that were like that were so traumatized that they wouldn't talk, wouldn't make eye contact, wouldn't do anything, open up. I remember the first girl, I'll say her name was Imani. Just no last name,
Right,
don't know where she's
right.
at, whatever. But she was probably the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Gorgeous, absolutely
Wow.
gorgeous. She was bold. She had this great, like, you would have never thought in a million years what this girl
Wow.
went through. So we clicked, of course, and we're talking, talking, talking. And she was writing me little notes, which wasn't allowed. I did break the rules and get caught on that one. They said they're going to try to befriend you to get you to do stuff
Right,
for them. It's a trick, and I'm like,
right, right,
no,
right.
but my heart doesn't want to believe that. So, I got the little pat on the hand and we cut out the notes. But her and I did get close and bond. She was one of the ones that would talk to me when I was there. And I remember coming back to serve a following week, and she had a really bad night. She had gotten suicidal.
Mm.
She ended up running away and
Oh,
never came back. So I think about her all the time. Like that's
yeah.
another thing. When these girls go back, sometimes they go back to it. Sometimes they run away. Sometimes they go off to better places. But you never forget any one of these girls or survivors. I've only worked with girls. They usually keep the girls with girls and the boys with the boys,
Right.
like
Yeah, yeah,
volunteering,
yeah.
for reasons,
Yeah.
obviously. Um, but like you never forget a name, you never forget a face, you never stop wondering if they're okay after you hear what they went through. I never stop praying.
No, I don't. I
So the
don't.
psychological aftermath does go for caretakers too, because you see all these tears that are dropping off
Right,
both sides of
right.
the screen here, right? Oh man.
Yeah.
And I hope that this real emotion shows you guys this is this is real. This is a big, big deal. And the biggest thing that's going to help stop it is raising awareness. So share it. Share everything you're learning right now, please. And share this
Yeah,
video. Share the
yeah,
YouTube channel.
yeah, yeah. It's not about popularity, it's about getting someone healed.
Right.
It's
And
not about
people good
that.
out there.
It's not about my organization, it's not about Melissa, it's not about Michelle, it's about a child's life. Male, female, a woman's life. Women are in their 60s and 80s and still are dealing with the trauma
Mhm.
of being molested and raped. They can't be touched. They can't be looked at a certain way. They can't go out a
They
certain
can't
way.
be loved. They
No, they
can't feel love
can't.
like that because they're
No.
too afraid. So can you imagine having a life where you've never felt love, like actually genuinely love?
The damage is so horrific. It's
It,
horrific.
it is repairable for a lot of people, but not for everybody. Just like I said, the
You
damage,
gotta get
I said it
there.
last week, I feel like murder is almost kinder than committing the crime of sex trafficking on anybody.
Yeah.
anybody. It doesn't matter. We're talking about youth because that's what we
Yeah.
work with here, but
Yeah.
it's just equally as bad if it's a full grown man, a full grown woman, a toddler, uh, or a teenager. It's just,
Wow.
crime is the crime, and it's horrible.
Wow.
Ah, all right, let's move on to the second paragraph. All right, violent exploitation may also result in survivors developing a mistrust of caregiving individuals and systems, which can severely hinder service delivery. Sex trafficking disrupts caregiving by hijacking the victim's relationship with trust and security. Victims rely on their traffickers to provide them with food and shelter, but to obtain these, victims must work, and that involves sexual violence and coercion. The
Mm,
hand that feeds and gives shelter and promises a path to safety is therefore also the hand that leads to injury and persecution.
mm, mm, mm,
So
mm.
yeah, I mean, what they're saying there, that's how do you live like that? Like you can never trust that you feel like anybody that's then feeding you, anybody that's the mindset that these survivors have. I have to do this. I have to get beaten. I have to be raped. I have to do this in order to eat. And a lot of these traffickers, that's how they make you keep doing it. They starve you. They starve you. They degrade you. They deprive you of the bare necessities so that you are so desperate to survive that you have to do. Any human's going to do what you got to do to survive. Let's be real.
Right.
You're going to
Yeah.
do what you got to do. When you're left with no other option than this, that's what traffickers do. They give you no other option. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. They come out of it with the mindset of the person they trust who is taking care of them but also trafficking them. They have that same thought towards an adopted parent, a counselor, a doctor, their own parent.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do to me? That trust that it just takes so long to repair.
Yeah, you said they're so fragile. They don't know. The abuser throws them into a room with a nasty, dirty, filthy, stinking mattress
Mattress.
on the floor, and
Yep.
you're right there with roaches and rats in the room.
And they
And
don't
if
see a
you,
lot of time, you don't get to go to the bathroom. You have to
no,
defecate in your own little space where your mattress
yes,
is.
yes, yes,
You have
yes,
your period, you get your periods and stuff. You don't get nothing for that. You're gonna just sit there like a dog in a kennel, you know?
right. Or
It's
you'll get beat because you had your period.
right,
Who told you to have your period right now?
right.
Right,
And you'll get beat
exactly.
if you don't get your period because then they're gonna make you go get an abortion or beat that baby out
Right.
of you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You can't get
Yes.
pregnant either. So
Right.
it's
No, it's a
gross.
horrible, it's no win-win in it, at all, none. And then when they finally do, like you said, get back to a place where there is caregivers there for them. Now the caregivers have to walk on eggshells because they don't know what the hell they went through. And literally, I mean, the hell they went through. And now the caregivers are trying to maneuver, work it out, figure it out. This takes years, Melissa. This
Yeah.
takes years,
Or
if
the
not
rest
a
of the
lifetime.
lifetime.
Yeah,
Yeah, we said that at the same time.
yeah.
A lifetime. And even when you're healed, where because I got somebody I'm going to reach out to. She was somebody I volunteered with. She started her own nonprofit, and she was a survivor. And I'll tell you a little bit about her story after the show. Um, I'm going to see if maybe she'll come and talk with us next month.
Okay.
But um, I got sidetracked. What were we
So
saying?
we were talking about the caregivers taking care. It can happen over a lifetime.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So she was trafficked when she was in her teens, early teens, and she's about my age now. I'm about 40, so she's round about my age. And she's still, I mean, even though she's opened her own nonprofit, she does a lot of work with the neuro treatments and stuff with
Mm-hmm,
survivors.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
she still has to get treatment. She's
Yeah.
married, she's mixed marriage, she's got kids, she's got an emotional support dog, she's a coach, she's got her own nonprofit, she does nails, she's got a nail
Oh,
nonprofit that the nails
okay.
go to trafficking. The
Okay.
proceeds all go to that. But she still needs it. And she's like the smiliest, happiest person you would ever encounter. Like, hi, life is great, God is good, ha ha ha. You would never guess in a million years what she went through. And she's still, so you're looking like from 15 to 40, let's say, that many years, and she's got all this great stuff finally going for her in life, but she's still needing treatment because
Absolutely.
it's triggers. It could see you could see a picture on a wall that was on the wall of one of the places that you were when bad things were happening to you, and you see that same image or a commercial on the TV or a song that was on the radio, and every time you hear it you relive that again.
I share with
It
people
takes a
about the
lifetime.
smell. Right, because of the torment that I went through as a little girl, there's a certain I can't stand the smell of Tide washing powder. I
Oh,
can't stand the
wow.
smell. I don't like Tide at all. I will never use Tide washing powder for anything because of that. That's something
Trigger.
that's still there. It's a trigger. And
Mm.
so, as a grown woman, a minister, I still have that trigger
Yeah.
where what happened to me when I was 3, 4,
Mm.
and I can't ever deal with that. And everybody that, like you said, that everybody's not completely out of the zone. As a matter of fact, I went to a workshop and they said that anyone that has been in that situation before, yes, God is good. God can deliver. He will set you free. But there are some things that still triggers us.
Yeah.
There are some voices. There are some things that will still cause maybe as a trigger, and it's okay. It lets us know we're human. You can go to counseling 15,000 times. You can keep praying to God, ask God to deliver you from it. I'm quite sure that God will be a deliverer. But then Paul said, there is this thorn that's in my flesh.
Yep. Yep.
We
Amen.
don't know what it was,
Amen.
but that might have been that. It doesn't negate the fact that you are human,
Mhm.
right? We're human. We're human.
We were all made in his image and we are all his children, and therefore we all need to be treated with love, respect, and we were here to love each other as he loves us, to serve
Yeah,
one another, not
yeah.
to hurt each other and
Right,
break all the rules, you know?
right.
There's a lot of rules being broken in the trafficking world,
Mm,
and it is one of the most lucrative. It's I think the second most lucrative industry out there.
mm.
Think guns are above it, and then it's
Yeah,
trafficking, and then drugs. I
yeah.
think I think trafficking used to be number 3, but I think we traded out for drugs now. So
Mhm.
it's a thing on the rise, and it's horrible.
Yeah,
And I will
yeah.
say, for lasting psychological aftermath, even for me personally, I was not trafficked, but I've been raped a few times in my life, and through various ages, young to teens to 20s. And I'll tell you, like, I've been married for, I don't even know. I've been with Nate for 15 years. I've been with my husband for 15 years, but I
Hey,
think
let's
we're going on
allow
like
him.
12 years of marriage. I think 12 years of marriage is where we're at. I had to think. I'm like, I don't even know. So maybe 12 years, we'll call it 11 or 12 years married. And so I obviously trust him. We've been together forever. But like when it comes to intimacy, I'm not going to get too detailed here, but like it's hard for me. It's really hard. Like he's got to jump through hoops.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like take me out wine and dining and make it rain
No,
on me,
no, no,
not
no,
like
no.
that, but like I have to be in a very
Mentally, right.
mentally able. I have to be emotionally okay. Like put on the music, light a candle, give me a glass of wine. I gotta be
Yep,
calm because
yep.
intimacy and touching in an intimate way instantly makes me tense up and want to protect myself.
Yeah.
So,
Ugh,
and I'll even cry talking about this. We've gone to counseling for this, not recently, but in the first 5 years of our
right.
marriage, this was a big
Yeah.
thing for us. And it's just like, I don't want to drop the guard, because, it's hard. So it's, even when you are actively being intimate, my brain is still there to things that were happening to me. So I'm not thinking about, oh, I love you, baby. I'm thinking about, oh my God, I don't
Oh
know
God.
what happened to me, So it's like a mental battle to even be intimate a lot of the time,
And this is
unless
so
I am
true.
made to forget and be
Yeah,
comfortable. And
yeah.
so, like I said, so my husband is a saint in the fact that he don't get it
He's
as much as he
patient.
wants,
Yeah,
but he's
he's
patient
patient.
and he does the things I need for that to happen. He doesn't force it. He doesn't, and he understands. And again, it took a lot of therapy with my husband for him. And he didn't do that to me, but my husband had to go to therapy with me,
Therapy to
be intimate with me
understand,
for
right?
years. So talk about lasting aftermath psychologically. I'm, like I said, 40 years old, and I'm still like the man, my soulmate, who I've been married to for over a decade. I'm like, stop, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, we still have those moments, and it's so true what you're discussing. It's so real when it comes down to that individual who's been violated, male or female.
Mhm.
Those that have been violated, when it comes down to that intimacy part,
Yeah,
it is hard. That is a big pill to swallow for them, because of the violation that took place. For me, I was on the flip of it for a while. I was the one that, because of it happening so much to me, that was the way that I was searching for that love. So
right,
now I
right.
want it. I
Yep.
wanted it, wanted it, wanted it, wanted it, wanted it. Didn't care how I got it, got it, got it, got it, get it, get
Yeah.
it, get it. And that's how it was for a long time. And then once it flipped, it changed,
Yeah.
something changed till it
A
became a
realization.
strain.
We had a
Yeah, I guess that's
realization
what
there.
I guess, right? And so now it was like, now like, don't want that no more. Okay, that's good. Been there, done that, rode that trip, right? Yeah, I'm good. So that's how it became. It just flipped over, like you said. I'm thank God for my husband and all the women who have been through it, all the men who've been through it, and how their spouses are working with them. But I will say counseling works.
Yes.
Counseling works. If you
Yes.
go to counseling, they will give you avenues to work on to make sure that you will continue to grow in your marriage and not just throw your hands up and say, okay, that's it. But if you don't want to go to counseling, then you are saying, hey, I'm good where I'm at. And that other person, they don't have to deal with that. I mean,
Right.
they're not obligated. Everybody got needs.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody gonna feel those needs. Don't get
Right.
mad. I'm just saying. Counseling works. Counseling
It
works.
does.
My husband
It
and
does.
I, we've been in counseling and it wasn't on bad terms. We
Right.
went to counseling just so that we can make sure our marriage will continue to grow stronger,
Right.
and he loves different than I love.
Different
We
love
realize that.
languages.
Yeah,
Yes.
our love
Different love
languages are
languages.
totally different, right? I married my husband, Melissa, after 6 months of knowing this man. Okay. 6 months later, we're married. And so there are some things that I love about him, and it's like every other spouse that you just don't like. But we went to counseling just to understand each other's love language a little bit better. He's not touchy, touchy, feely, feely. I am. I
Yeah.
love hugs and kisses and all that. You met my husband. He'll give
Yeah.
you a long hug, right?
See,
He gets little.
your husband and I are more alike, and you and my husband are more alike.
Yeah, right. We are.
My husband's number one love language is physical touch.
Yeah.
I've read the book, The Five Love Languages. I don't know.
Yeah. I read
Great
that.
book.
Yeah.
I have the one for kids too, The Five Love Languages of Children. That's a good one.
Oh goodness. Okay.
And mine, I'm a person, I like the acts of service or quality time. Quality
Yeah.
time and acts of service are my two big love languages. The physical touch is the last one. That's number five,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yeah. Your husband and I, we're just alike with that one. We're just alike. Oh my
Right.
God. Isn't it amazing though how we can sit here and we could talk about this and how God is such a good, He is so good to us, how He has delivered us to the point where we can actually talk about it. Yes, it hurts, but someone else can actually be where we are today.
Right.
Someone else, if they would just allow themselves to receive the help, if the person who's listening or watching would allow themselves to volunteer to help, do
Right.
you know how much more love would be in this world?
Hmm.
Wow.
Yes. And one life
Oh,
at a time. That's how you combat human trafficking. And
that's
that doesn't
it.
mean just saving one life at a time. That is one volunteer at a time. That is
Yeah.
one voice at a time. That is one
Right.
podcast at a time. It is one person at a time to save one person at a time.
Yeah.
It does have to be that kind of a battle. Unfortunately, you can't save the masses all at once just due to the nature of it, but one at a time. So yes, we are definitely looking for volunteers. If you guys check out the scrolling website on the bottom, unbreakfaith.com, we've got everything you need to know about Unbreakable Faith there. If you want to donate, you can donate. If you want to volunteer, you can volunteer. If you want to see what our upcoming events are, maybe attend. You want more information, are you interested in any of our programs? Michelle runs a lot of really amazing programs. And there's, like I said, tons of information there. Visit, and all your answers are there. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
There, I will actually, some the things that we're talking about today, I'm working with Tiff. There is it is a youth event. It's on our website. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but it's on the website.
Yes, it is.
We're working together as a partnership for the teenagers and the parents. They're going to come out. They're having a teen event for the youth that's going to take place on November the 18th. I don't want to give out the wrong information. Let me look and see real quick, Melissa. I
That's all
just
right.
don't want to mess it up. Because she is a sweetheart. Glenise is
Yeah,
a
she is. I got to
sweetheart.
meet her
Oh
last
my
week.
God. She is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so we're partnering together. She's one of my church members, and her and her husband are wonderful. And what they're doing to work with the youth as well. They're doing a wonderful job. So it is called the Teen Institute for Promoting Prevention, prevention. Did I say that right? It's TIPPPS, TIPS. And so what they do, it's an educational program to prevent and early detection. And what they're doing, they're having an event that's going to take place at 2647 Freedom Drive in Charlotte. It's going to take place on November the 18th from 10 to 2 p.m. And again, it's on our website. I will be speaking with the caregivers there about domestic violence, sex trafficking. I'm going to talk about trauma there. Of course, the workshop, they're going to be talking about other events there with the teens. So teens, you guys come out. Parents, don't drop those teens out. Come on out. The things that Melissa and I are talking about is in detail. I'll have it. You will actually get a book on it. I have my little cute little book, of course, give out to the parents so that you'll have the information. But TIP is the name of the program team initiative for promoting um, uh, preventative practices. And they're on the website again. That's going to be on the 18th from 10 to 2. Please go to the website. That is my girl. I hope I didn't tear it up too bad. Glenise, forgive me. I love you. Oh
Yes,
my goodness.
if you go to unbreakfaith.com and go to our event calendar, all the
Yeah.
information, the flyers right up there. So,
Yeah. Oh
and we
my
have anything
goodness.
else coming up in November?
November, we're preparing the
Coat drive,
coat drive, the coat
coats and
drive and
blankets.
blankets of love. Yes.
That'll be
Yes.
posted. That flyer will be posted by Friday.
Oh, by Friday. Okay,
By
we'll have it
Friday.
posted by Friday. Okay, so yeah, start holding on to those coats. When
Yes.
you are going through your closets, hold on to those coats,
And
and we're
blankets.
also doing blankets of love. We're doing blankets of love. It was fabulous last year. We ended up getting so many blankets to give out. And so this year we want to make sure that we have coats and blankets to give out. Melissa, like she said, she'll have it posted on the website as well for November. Those are the two things right now that we're closing out the year with, Melissa. And I think those are excellent. That's an excellent way to close out the year.
Yeah.
Next year, you'll hear about me traveling and doing some workshops next year.
Yeah.
Got a workshop coming up in Brooklyn. Oh, also, I'm speaking with the gentleman in Scotland. We're going to talk about, actually, oh my gosh, we're going to be talking real soon. But that'll be on the site. Once we finish that up, and we're going to be talking about grief. It will not be live, but it will be posted on the site,
Yep.
and we'll be
Yep.
talking about grief. Melissa, it is wonderful. It is wonderful. It's always wonderful to talk with you. We have so much to share next month. If you guys have anything you want us to talk about, well, listen, we are going to talk about it. The Queen City. It's
Yes.
the Queen City.
So I do, before we go, we got a few more minutes left here. We got to touch on the targets and the signs of trafficking. We spent
Yes.
a lot of time, and actually before we even do that, we touched on the psychological aftermath and the long-term effects. And I want to take a minute and remind you guys, if you want to know a little bit more about Michelle's story, she hasn't given a whole lot of details as to what's, but she's got quite a story. And you guys know about the long-term effects she still is dealing with, and you know that she has dealt with abuse. But if you want the complete story, it's available at DeWitt'sDelight.company sites, or you can go to unbreakfaith.com, and it's right at the bottom of the homepage. You can check it out there, or maybe it's on the About Us section. I don't know. It's right there. It should be right there on the front page. But it's called I've Been There by Michelle Dewitt.
Yeah.
And that's her as a little girl standing on the street corner.
I love that picture of me. That's a little cute puppy girl.
Oh yeah, take it. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And that's another way you can help with the fights against trafficking.
Yeah.
Proceeds to this book go to unbreakablefaith.com, or to Unbreakable Faith. And so the proceeds, that's a donation there. But not just because of donating, but there are so many books out there. I've got 30 different books out there. This was a good one. This one got me real.
Made in the USA. Oh, I like that.
And you know what? The more you educate yourselves, the more you're going to talk and the more you're going to share. So get a book, read, educate yourself more. Google them statistics for your county. Like
that's it.
42 zip codes in Mecklenburg County, I just found out, were linked to 100 cases and confirmed child exploitation cases. So, unless you educate yourself, you can't share it with people. So please get a book, preferably yourselves. So just the targets and signs section is not going to be as long-winded as our psychological section, because let's be real, that one really did we needed to cry a little bit there. We had to get it out. But I did make a little video just to kind of give you guys some idea of what to look for if you want to be vigilant, to protect your own kids, protect yourself, and be a voice. You see something, say something.
Please.
Don't be a blind eye and turn the other way and second guess yourself, because humans were born with gut instincts. We were born with intuition. We're born with a voice. That's called the Holy Spirit. We have a voice, an inner voice. So if you get that, that doesn't look right, that doesn't feel right, it's better to call and make the tip and be like, well, at least I was looking, than to not make the call and, person is
That's a situation where you say, I'd rather be wrong than to be right.
Yep.
I'd rather be wrong on that one. Like, oh, you know what? I'm so thankful I was wrong. I'm so glad, Yeah. Do it. Do it. Don't say, oh, I'm minding my business. That is your business.
Yes. Because we're here to protect each other, to be there for one another, not hurt and torture each other. So, all right. So take a look here, guys. Here is a little clip of your signs and targets of trafficking. This was this week's project. All right. We'll catch you guys in a minute here. So to keep it condensed for you, maybe I just make slideshows for the whole thing. Maybe we keep it more short that way.
I
Which
love
was good.
it.
We need to talk about it. But yeah, there's your tips, your signs, who's a target. You can see there's a lot of targets, but those are the primary targets, which I found. And,
Mm.
it didn't show up in the stats that I was looking up about the LGBTQ community, but I feel like I want
Yeah.
to add that in there because they are very targeted when it comes to that. And I don't
Yeah.
think that there's enough awareness around the men and the LGBTQ community. I think it
Yeah.
is, more common knowledge that your runaways, your teens, women, obviously,
Yeah.
is like, I think when people hear sex trafficking, they automatically think adult prostitute women. And it's not the case. Actually, back in 2016, when I was taking this, when I was doing my training, they said toddler porn was the hottest thing. 2 years old was the main thing
And
that time. In
16. Wow.
2016, 2-year-old toddler porn, which ultimately they said 90% of the time ended in death, was the most marketed thing. And another tip too, I wanted to share with you guys, when it comes to pimps and traffickers and stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
that clip I had there was not any pimp looking dude, was it? Just
Right.
like a regular old guy. The
So like a nice father.
statistics show your most common John or buyer, your most common buyer is a middle-aged white male with a college degree, married with children.
Okay.
I've met a few in my life.
Yeah.
I've met a few men who bought and were
Yeah.
not quiet about it. But like they look just like that guy that was walking down by the boats. Like he didn't, they don't, the traffickers don't wear masks. They don't costume up. They're police, they're lawyers, they're fathers, they're middle-aged, well-to-do looking, well-dressed people,
They're football players. They're basketball
thug.
players.
So you gotta be aware of the signs, the other
Yep.
signs, because the stigma is that you're looking for some like thug who's cursing left and right at the baggy clothes and packing a gun and things like that, women strapped to his arms. That is the Hollywood version of pimping and trafficking. That is not real world. Real world,
No.
they look. Women who pimp look just like me.
Yep.
Just
And
like
me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like the teenagers in the high schools,
Yeah.
like my
Yeah.
husband, so
Yeah.
be aware of that because they're who's doing this, who's purchasing, who's raping and beating and kidnapping and stealing and doing all this, violating and disrespect of life. A lot of times is your husband.
Mm.
Your husband, somebody you know. So be aware. Just, we want you guys to keep your eyes open. And that being
Yeah, especially now. Next week is Halloween,
yes,
and a lot of people are trusting their youth to go to parties. Be
yep.
careful. Be
Or
careful
trick
about
or
that.
treating out in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We said
Yeah.
last
I
week,
just it's
takes 2
not.
seconds for someone to throw a different costume over a kid and run down the street with them. And never
Exactly.
again.
Exactly. They're still looking for those that child. The two parents are they're questioning these two parents about the ones in Monroe, about the child being missing that's in Monroe.
Was that
Um,
Kochikari, Madalena Kochikari?
I think so.
She's been
She
missing since
still,
November, and they said
yeah,
they think she was sold and
yeah.
trafficking and all this stuff.
And the parents,
We
they
do.
believe
We
the
do.
parents know.
Anything new on her is always on your Facebook page. So you guys visit Unbreakable Faith on Facebook, Instagram,
It's just
YouTube.
something.
But we're always posting the updates of who's missing,
Yeah.
who's been
Who's in
kidnapped,
jail?
who's
Right.
been arrested, and all this stuff.
Right.
But Madalena Kojikari, man, I've been praying on her since it happened in November,
Yeah.
and I'm really hoping something busts open on that case. That's a really hard thing with the trafficking too. Is sometimes people survive, sometimes people don't, and sometimes people stay missing. And
Yeah.
like a lot of people who deal in the trafficking, they got a lot of money. And what do they call that? Plastic surgery is a big thing that the real rich people do. They get their people, they get their victims, and then they make them go certain plastic surgeries and change the hair and all this stuff so that they're unrecognizable anymore. So they're forever missing until they get that little chance to escape or be saved. So it's crazy. Keep your eyes open to the signs. And yeah, so I guess next week or next month, we're going to be coming at you for 2 podcasts next month. We're going every other week for the rest of the year just because we're getting holiday season right now and everybody's kind of scattered. So we don't want to make the commitment and then not show up because
we're gonna let you guys know.
You got to be able to depend on us. So we will be there unless we have our technical difficulties. We'll be there. We might just be a couple minutes late. But so next month, I want to let you guys know our topics for the show is going to be on the gratitude of survival. And I think we're going to call it Thank God I Survived.
Yeah, I like
those
that.
Of us, I know I speak for myself. I'm sure, Michelle, you agree. That's something, that's a prayer I pray every day. Thank God I made it through that last rape. Thank God I made it through the few. Thank God I made it through the relationships. Thank God. And again, I was never trafficked. I can't imagine going through what I went through 10 times a day for years on end or any at all. Like it's insane. So I think since we spent this month informing you guys about it, because I think we really packed a lot of information over these last 2 shows this month. So this gives you time to really deal with the knowledge, process it. Next month, let's talk about, let's flip it, let's bring a little bit of airiness to it. And let's talk about surviving. Now what? Thank God I survived, So I would like to ask if anybody out there who is viewing or listening, if you have a survival story of sexual abuse or trafficking, it does not have to be trafficking. It could be a sexual abuse of any magnitude. We would love very much for you to be a voice and help us get this word out there. And we would like to invite you to come and join us on live on the podcast. But if you don't want to be seen, you can come on and just have your voice. We can take your picture off. Or if you don't want to be seen or heard, you could definitely inbox us. You can email at unbreakfaith@gmail.com, right? And you can go to our Facebook, Unbreakable Faith on Facebook, and you can message us there. Send us your story or send us any tips or anything else that you think we should be talking about or including. But next month, I'd really like to try to see if we can get a couple people, man, woman, or teenager on here to talk about their journey of surviving and what it looks like after. What is life like now? So please reach out to us. We would really appreciate it. And would love to add you to our survivor family, right?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to us today. We're looking forward to next month and having a wonderful time with gratitude.
Yes. And you guys have a blessed Wednesday. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Be safe this weekend. We won't see you again until after Halloween. So please don't let your kids go roaming around in the dark. Please. Oh my gosh. Make sure you got that Life 360, that GPS tracking stuff on your kid's phone. If they are going to a party, you got teenagers, make sure you can see them on the phone and know where they're at. And don't wait till like they're 20 minutes past curfew to check where they're at. Keep an eye, check that every hour. You know what I mean? This is the Halloween's like a trafficker's playground. It's like Mardi Gras for a trafficker. So this is the time where everybody's out past dark and dressed up and can't be recognized, where we really have to keep our eyes open. So keep your eyes on your babies. You guys have a great weekend. I love you, Michelle. We're going to close you guys out with our final Halloween warning, and we will see you in Thanksgiving, the month of Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Gratitude.
Bye, guys.
We love you guys. We'll see you.